Hey everybody, how you doing? So, here we are. Let me switch this over so you guys can see me. No, let's see. Where are you? Where am I? New software, just trying to get all this stuff happening. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so today's session and lesson, or whatever you want to call it, is all about doing a breakdown of a song that I'm putting out in just a couple of, like in a week or so, a couple of days, with an artist called Hard Ton, Hardton. I love him. He's completely out of his friggin' mind. And so am I, so we get along just well. So I'm going to play you the song that we're doing, and then I will go back and we can break this down track by track so you could know what's going on. If we have enough time, then I will go ahead and I will actually show you the mix portion. But I'm more interested in showing you the tracks and the process that I got done. All right, let's see. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Yay! I'm down in the corner on the right-hand side. This is Logic Audio. Okay, this is a Macintosh program, and this is what I use because I speak Logic, so to speak. So if you don't know what Logic is, all these colored regions I've purposely colored to make you guys, so stuff you can see stuff a little bit easier. Let me put this up here. I can see that belongs up there, and that needs to be purple. These are hand claps. You don't need to know this right now, but I want to color code things so it just makes it easier for you guys to digest what's going on. All right, so this is a mix. I'm going to play it. It's a song called Dumb Funk, F-U-N-K. It's actually on CD Baby right now, on demand, Parrish and Hard Ton. It'll be in iTunes. This is Saturday, October 20th, 2018. Within a few days or a week in the U.S. store, about a week or so around the world. So if you're watching from anywhere else in the U.S., it will be available very soon. I got a faux hawk going on, yeah, rocking it. All right, let's play the song and listen to it. I'll play most of it. And it's a 4-minute and 15-second song, and then we'll go back and break it down, and I'll show you how I got vocals in there. So for this particular song, Mario and Max is the lead singer, and together they're Hard Ton. Mario does a lot of the music, Max does the vocals. I'm sure they mix stuff up here and there, but for this particular track, Max did the vocals in Italy. They're Italian, and did a demo. He sings the vocals, and then he sends me the vocals by internet, and I know that it's at 125 beats per minute, and I lay it into my version of this mix. So let's take a listen right now. The red stuff on here is vocals. I did this purple stuff right here. You can see me highlighting it. Oh, by the way, if you're listening on a phone or watching this on a phone, you can, in many cases, broadcast this. On YouTube, there's a little, I think it's a little square box, what it looks like an internet Wi-Fi signal. And if you tap that, it'll show you if you could broadcast that to a TV in your home. That'll blow this up. If you have an iPad or a screen, hit that little full screen, you get a little bit more detail. Some people could put it up on their 60-inch screen from their phone, you know, free of charge. It'll blow this up and make it easy. Also, please, if you can, could you please use earbuds or headphones? A lot of the frequencies and things that I have in here are going to be much better frequency than those tiny little speakers. So if I'm showing you any kind of before and after, those adjustments you may not be able to hear off of tiny speakers. You may want to plug in some earbuds. It'll definitely sound better. The red is vocals. Whoops. Wow. Yeah. Come back. The red is vocals. This purple here I highlight the track. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th track down. That's a loop that I made. We'll go into that. The rest of the other purples in here, going all the way down to here. Let me see if I can grab all of them. And the claps. All this stuff that got a little bit brighter in color. That's all percussion, because it's a heavy percussion song. This one track over here, not until the very, very end, there's a little piece of yellow over there. That's the end effect. And then these 2 yellow are keyboard parts. And then below that are bass tracks, and that's the basic composition of the song, the arrangement. So if this was the old days on an 8-track half-inch, track 1 has vocals, track 2 has a drum, track 3 has percussion, track 4 has a keyboard, track 5 has another keyboard, or make it 6, has a keyboard, track 7 is bass, and track 8 would have an effect. In this particular case, I had the luxury of spreading out the percussion into multiple tracks. But this is, even though it looks complicated, it's a very simple arrangement. I went after the old school Planet Rock Kraftwerk kind of sound. Let's take a listen to the track. Dumb Funk. And this is only one of the mixes. This is what I call Planet Man mix. There's a house mix of this and a hip-hop bebop kind of mix. And old school was the style, and here we go. Breakdancing going on, old school style, or get that pop lock happening. All right, we heard enough. So that's our track, all right? If you want the whole track, please buy it, don't steal it, thank you. We worked hard on this. So let's start basically, let's start with the drums on this particular case. I'm not going to do the tracks in layered order. Oh, you know what, maybe no, let's build it up from the beginning. So what I usually do when I do tracks like this is I lay down a drum groove. You see everything just grayed out, and now we're only going to be listening to the drum track on here. This yellow bar at the top is a loop in Logic. So if I only want to loop that much, that's in yellow, that's all it'll play over again, which is really the length of the drum sound that I use. Let me see if I could blow that up for you guys. Give me 1 second. Hello, wake up. Where are we? Right here. Wow, does that look complicated, right? Well, guess what? It's not, because all that is a little bit of a loop like this, replaced playing over and over and over again. I'm going to play the drum loop. This drum loop I personally made and then turned into a sample, and I'll show you how I did that. So here's the drums. Let me take the effect off of it. That's the sound that I made. Okay? Now, it's got an 808 kind of drum sound, right? And a little bit of a kind of effect in it. What I used for this, and I'll make a new track and show you real quick. I'm going to go in here and you take a software instrument. I used a plugin. A plugin is a virtual or computer version of a piece of electronic gear. And I know what I used here. So this would be Native Instruments, and this is called Machine, and this is version 2 of Machine. If you've ever seen, let's see if I can get Machine out over here. Machine is a piece of software that you can actually play with a piece of hardware. How cool is that? This does not contain any sounds. The software maps the sounds to these buttons, and you can play kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. So I don't use this. A lot of people use this because they like to actually hit the beats. I use the software, right? And the great thing about Machine is they have lots of samples in it, and 808 samples, but I wanted to do something a little more craftworky, which is not quite 808 samples. Let's put this in the middle of the screen. Let's see if I can mute the background right now for a second. Unsolo, let's go gray. Will the purple go gray? There we go, now we can focus on the foreground. Okay, so this is not a review of Machine. I'm going to do this really fast. We can get into this software, which would really be a great thing. Down here, in this lower window, these are, 16 tracks, which become these 16 pads. 4, 8, 12, 16. Track 1 stops at the top. This is backwards. Pad 1 is at the bottom. Track 2 is the second one down in the software. Track 2 is here. It builds up all the way to track 16. Ass backwards, but once you know it, you know it. All right. So to build a piece of music, I want a kick drum. Now, if I double-click this first track, I'm going to call it kick. This is going to be hard to see if you're watching on a phone, but this first track over here, I'm going to move the mouse so you can get an idea where this is. This says kick, because I wrote that in there. Okay, now I'm going to go in here. Like I said, we will go in and we will do a thing on Machine, but kick. Now, I have a choice of a lot of things in here. I can use any synthesizer that's plugged into my system. You know, I could use plugins. I could use Native Instruments, samples and effects and all that kind of stuff. Am I in the right place? Group kick. master group sound. Yeah. Like I said, I don't want this to be a tutorial on machine. But over here, I either could use it as a sampler, which is the first thing, and most of you people know what a sampler is. If not, it's a digital tape recorder that you can re-trigger a sound by either hitting a button, a keyboard, or creating a virtual MIDI note. In this particular case, we're going to use the drum synth that's built in, and I'm going to go ahead and I am going to solo this track. And now that I have the drum synth here, these little knobs here, this little gray in between 1 and 2 is a kick drum. So I'm just, for the sake of it, I'm just going to do a 4 on the floor drum beat. Let me hit play. You should be hearing a kick drum. Now with this, I could tune this, right? I could change the decay. There's all these advanced things that I could do. I'm going to do the second track. I'm going to add the drum synth again, because this is the kind of thing that if I was doing a rock and roll track, a hardcore rock track, I'd be using drum samples. But this is like a Kraftwerk track, so let's go ahead and put in a snare. These little orange things are virtual notes, and it's going across a grid. Yeah, right. I figured by now I'd be able to get this together, right? So by moving these notes and programming them, and let me put in a hi-hat, and I'm going to stop there. This is just to show you how I create this drum sound, because people ask, and I want to be as easy as I can. So let's put in, just for a pattern, so you can see you can make patterns with this. And there we go. Let's see. I'm changing the type. And then of course you could change where these are in the mix. If you have your headphones on, you see they're moving from side to side. We don't need a tutorial on this, but basically I took drums and I made them, and there's that little synth sound. I imported or made a synth sound with this particular thing. Let me mute this. And that became this. All right, you got it? And then what I did is, with this piece of software, well, how did I get that? Sorry. With Machine, I could then take this whole thing, and there's a, like again, if you're looking on a small monitor, there's going to be hard. But there's a gray section, and then right below it, there's a little waveform. And if I click that, I could then take this piece of audio and drag it into my song. Now, obviously, you could see there's a change here. But listen what I put in there. Okay? I've turned that piece that I just did on the synthesizer into an audio track. So let's undo, and now we're back to where we were. That's how the drums were done. Let's get rid of this. Let's zoom back out. After drums, I have a couple of tracks of percussion here. So I have a hat. Let me mute. Okay. Sounds like I made that. So that's going with this. Starting to get that old school Kraftwerk sound. Let me mute this up. I have something keeping time over here. So it's this hat, and your drums. And I have another hi-hat going. So that with this. With this. Why do I have so many hi-hats? Well, this one is keeping fast time. It's giving this kind of groove beat. This one, ta 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 ta, is giving more of a. It's creating a metronome in sense. It's you don't hear this, but subconsciously you hear it. So it's helping you keep time. And here's the backbeat. This is the metronome. And this is the giddy up, for better words. All right, let me, against our drums. All right, I'm gonna move this up a tiny bit more so we can hear, I have claps in here. Let's see what our, all right, it's coming up here in purple. Okay, I'll tell you exactly what I did there. Those are hand claps, and I took the hand claps, and I'm going to open up the effects in here. That's a flanger in Logic. What a flanger does is it takes the sound, and it takes a second copy of the sound and slightly moves them out of phase. And physics come into place. You don't have to know about this, but when sounds are kind of together, you ever hear an airplane go, or a car, wee? Well, it's taking the wee and the and moving between that. So you get that, and this has feedback. I have the feedback turned up. So without it, let me turn these effects off. They're probably hand claps. Let me just see what I put in here. Okay, that's the sound. Come on back, sound. Let me make this loop so we don't have to wait so long. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to turn back on the flanger and a little EQ, and now digital delay. One, two, three. Okay, we got our groove going on. Now I got to jump all the way back here in the song to show you other stuff that I added. Okay, next track has percussion. And what I did on that is I put that flanger again, but it's not so intense. You had it just like, doo-doo-doo. I'll try to make it louder. Ooh, I'm not in the right place. Let's go to that. I'm on the wrong track. Oh, I am on the right track. It's very subtle. It's got a just adds a little bit of a, a feel to it and stuff like that. And then of course I have delay on it. I'll take the delay off for a second so you can hear this. Come on, which track should we be working on this track? of course, I'm on the wrong track. Yeah, all right. This is a sample. Yeah, this looks like a sample from Logic. I didn't make this sound. So I add a little delay. All right. Then I have, next track down, I have hand claps. Let's get these hand claps going. And all that is hand claps with some EQ. That's what it normally sounds like. But I decided to take this hand claps and give it more of a nasally sound. It has more of a round sound to it. And then I put that through a delay. Okay, let's put this in with you notice things are coming in and out because at the bottom of this arrangement, there's 3 tracks of purple and the 4th track is broken up. Well, in my arrangement, and that's a whole other thing, arranging, and we'll do that too, I decided that I don't want all that stuff happening at the same time. So you'll watch as things come in and out. Actually, let me take it back just a tiny bit before that. Let's go even further to the breakdown of the drums. That purple's going to come in. Now hi-hats are going to come in. Those claps stopped on down on the bottom of the purple. They're going to come back in again. The bottom purple track is going to end again. Now the drum's going to, up there, the darker purple, the top just stopped. The drum's coming back in again. So there you go. That's making drum arrangements. In the old days, we used to turn tracks on and off. You can use something called automation in your mixer to do that. It's a lot easier to do it this way because then when I'm mixing, I don't have to actually go in and turn tracks on and off, drop drums in and out. It becomes a real fucking pain in the ass. All right. Let's keep the drums in. And the next thing I usually do is I go to bass lines. So bass lines are down here in green, the drums are in purple, all right? Let's run a bass line. Now, in this particular thing, I used, looks like 3 bass lines. So let's start with this one. This is a synthesizer, this is a plug-in, and if you know the old school acid days, there was a 303. This is Logic's version of 303. They can't use the actual 303 on the screen because that's owned by Roland Corporation. So it's sort of metallic like a 303. It's supposed to let you know it's a 303. It sounds like one, but if somebody didn't tell you, it wouldn't be a 303. And this sounds like this. Let me take the reverb off of that. And this synthesizer, I could change the sound. We're not in the synthesizer programming class, but you can just get an idea of the variety. So as a producer and songwriter, you have a lot of choices how you want your bass sound. So this is old school, modeling off the Kraftwerk Planet Rock. Right? Now, in this particular thing, I wrote this as a MIDI track, musical instrument digital interface. You don't need to do that. But if I click on this, and let me roll back to where this starts so you could see this bottom window just opened up. Let's make this only big enough for here, and let's see if I could zoom. I could get this section. If you notice, as I'm grabbing them, they're sounding. So I'm going to make this big enough for this little loop. And this is basically a repetitive loop. On the left side, there's a keyboard. I'm going to click onto these keys. It's fun playing with a mouse, right? Ugh, sucks. So, I've chosen notes. All these notes are editable like a word processor. So if I want to change this note, so when these are all placed where I want them to place, basically, that's just repeating over and over and over again through the song, and at certain sections, that's stopping. You see the green stops over here, and then picks up again. This whole place where the green stops, I'll play it. It's... Now, if that was in a club, the bass line's still there, but the drums suddenly drop in and makes for a good thing. Now, I have 3 bass lines running here. Let me go ahead and mute this bass line. The second one, let's take a listen to it. We're going to listen from the beginning. All right, let's see. It seems like it's only one note. Okay, so what's that doing? Let's listen. Let me see if I can blow that out. And if I double click on it, there's our note right here. Let me undo that. So obviously that's a bass note sitting in a whole shitload of reverb. Let's turn the reverb off. Sounds lame without it, huh? Let's put that, I'll hear it one more time with that off. So I love this particular reverb. I think it's like $49. It's Vahalia Shimmer. I'll put the reverb on and listen to this monster reverb. This, a reverb this big, you can't really do on vocals unless you're doing ethereal angels flying around in an ambient thing. Otherwise, it's just too big. You can control how big it is, but I have it big because I want that punch and that effect. We're looking at the bottom on it to be impossible to see. Here comes the bass note. And the reverb lets it hang out a little bit longer. So I'm going to unmute some of these drums so you can see how this comes in. Notice how I'm building a whole... I'm not giving everything away right away. purposely, because I'm just trying to build up some mystery, some tension, something new, something different, trying to put a little bit of dynamics into this. So I'm muting these tracks out. They're going gray. Okay, like my hair. I have another bass sound in here. Let's see what that one is. What it looks like to me is a double of the bass sound that's already there. So sometimes these bass sounds are really cool, but you kind of, if you know about being in clubs or you're a DJ, some records are bassy and those other ones rock that real deep kind of sound. This looks like it's that. No. Let's take the effect off this. So this is the synth sound that's doing the same as this. So what I did is I put an effect on it. This thing's called vocal synth. It's really made for voice, but let me solo this bass sound. No law says that you have to use it on voice. I'm going to turn it on and turn it off. This is made by Isotope, I think? I think so. I turned that into this. It's actually going through a vocoder here, which would normally give you that robot voice. So I have that sound blending with this sound. And why that sound? It kind of gives it this more, instead of just a Planet Funk, it gives it more of an electro, digital kind of background, the edge to it, you know? Instead of the bass line being this, it's now this. Adds a layer to it. It's underneath it, supporting it really slow. Okay, and then our drums again. Okay, we're building this track. The next thing is a keyboard track. Because in a lot of the Kraftwerk stuff, they had that ominous keyboard. Let me solo that for you, and we'll figure out which synthesizer we used. Can't keep track of all these in my head, I tell you. Oh, okay, we'll listen to it, and this is a digital recreation of a classic keyboard that a lot of people used in the 80s, which is probably Kraftwerk used this. I know I did. It stopped playing, but that big reverb is still carrying it out like Kraftwerk did, right? Because I'm trying to go for that Kraftwerk sound. So let's open this up. Any old school people would recognize this. This is the Oberheim OPX. It's actually an OBX, but they couldn't use that because it's a copyright and trademark, so they made it as an OPX. I'm going to play the keyboard. Let me turn off the reverb. So, this is a preset sound that I went and I modified because I can go in here and change how bright it is, how long the sound lasts. I knew I wanted it to be a long, sustaining sound, but I wanted this to sustain, not from the synthesizer. I wanted that to die away in the reverb just to carry it off into the vapor. Now, remember I said I took all those notes and I'm putting them in where I want them. You right click, you create a note, it creates it, and then you place it where you want it and you decide, is it a short note or a really long note? And once you get all this, you're making arrangements. Let me get that out of there. for those of you who aren't musicians, some of them are single notes, and then those bars on top of each other are all chords. And when that's played together, that sounds like this. No, sorry. Okay, so I'm not very good at writing music. I'll tell you that now. I've done 120 records. If you told me what an A-flat major, I'd have to count on my fingers and my toes and figure it out. But I could tell you by listening to it, this sounds like a bad chord. Does this sound better? That's good, but this sounds even better to my ear. So you can dabble and you can play with chords. Don't let them frighten you. Go in there and have some fun. Let's put the reverb on this, okay? Hey, where'd you go? There. Notice how long that reverb's hanging out, because I want that effect. Let's throw in the drums. Let's put the bass in. Now, if you notice how simple, I love that reverb. You notice how simple this is? It's not that difficult and not that hard. Basically, we have drums, bass, and that keyboard part. There's, in theory, only 3 people playing. I have the hi-hats broken onto multiple tracks, but there's only 3 things happening right now, and it sounds pretty full. Now, what are we missing? There's a track above it, and we're going to go to it right now. It is a keyboard. I call it comp because when you comp a keyboard, you're playing that. I'm going to solo just that track alone, and we'll find out what this sucker is. Let me mute these other ones so you can hear it. Hope you guys are getting an idea. You don't have to be really complex. You don't have to be a master musician to do some really good sounding stuff. All right, let's see what we got. Okay. So this is a digital remake of a synthesizer I used on hip hop bebop back in the day. This is the first synthesizer. This is one of the first synthesizers that you could actually play chords on. Because up until then, when you see those big Moog synthesizers that are like the size of a wall, you could only play 1 note on those things, and if you had modifications, you could play 2 notes, but you couldn't play chords unless you did some careful shifting around of, you had to use your brain and make tricks. On this thing, you can actually make chords. Let me copy this thing for a second. I'll go to some other sounds in here. You know. Male stripper, right? And you can go in and, again, this is not a synthesizer class. You know, we got to get back to our little sound here. We'll do a synthesizer class. So this sounds cool, but let's put a little delay on it. In the past, I had talked about I like this unit, Relayer by UVI, because it's got a bunch of advanced controls that most people won't need, but as you get more and more into this, you may need these controls, and that's why I love this thing. I'm going to turn it on. You won't see any difference. I'll turn this on. See all that stuff going on? The purple up at the pit, the blues, purple, now the drums are gonna come in, you should see it. Right? So what you're looking at is a digital representation of an arrangement. If this was in sheet music, which I tell you, I can't even read. Let's see if I could select multiple tracks here. And if I do this, if you can read music, let me go back in here. This is what all I selected looks like. Sorry about that, folks. Give me a second. Okay, if I hit play, if you follow the top line is the keyboard. The very bottom 3 lines are the bass line. Okay, I can't read music. Why is this in Logic? Say I wanted a bass player to play this, I could print out just the bass line, right? By only selecting the bass line. And I can say, hey bass player, play that. I gotta get up in here in this section. Oops. Let me bring this back to the beginning. That's the best way to do this. Now, I can't play music, but the guy says, hey, give me a chart, give me the music, and I can play this for you, you know. That's why they have the score in here. I've never used it, but a lot of people do. Okay, let's move on quickly. What are we missing? We're missing vocals, right? So Max did the vocals. He's the Hard Ton guy you see. You guys have to Google Hard Ton. He's a big boy. He puts on glitter and makeup. He used to be a rock and roll singer. Hey, hey, mama said the way you move. I have him on my Led Zeppelin tracks that I did, but he did the vocals on this, and we intentionally decided that we were going to mess with the vocals and make them electronic, right? So let me go in, and this is his vocal happening. I think there's very little effects on this. Let me check. No, there's a vocal. Let me play it without vocals. Max, forgive me.
You can dress for excess, nothing less, just more.
Right?
Now I'm dressed to impress, it still has hardcore.
Why are there all these little things happening in his vocal here? So let's take this, let's zoom in. Let's zoom into this. Now, in this particular case,
you can dress.
Let me try to just get this vocal so we can follow this. Let's just take a little chunk of this vocal right here.
You can dress for excess. You can dress for excess.
It could be, in this particular case, I took his vocal. Now, with Logic, it becomes very, very powerful. He sung a vocal, but nobody's a robot, and nobody could sing perfect vocals. Logic has a thing called elastic audio, and it does exactly what it sounds like. It stretches and compresses audio to work in time with your music. I'm going to put the metronome on.
You can dress.
Let's see if I can make that less hard on your ears. And bring the metronome volume down.
You can dress for excess. 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 You can.
I'm not going to do a thing on stretching audio. I just want to show you what it does. I can actually change the sound of the way he sings. But since this is such a precise robotic track, I wanted to make sure each syllable lines up in perfect places. I'm going to mess with this for a second and you get an idea what elastic audio can do. Let me bring this here on a perfect loop.
You can trust for excess. You can trust for excess. You can trust for excess. You can trust for.
I'm going to start shifting around the audio.
You can trust for excess. 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 You can trust for ex. 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 You can trust for excess. 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 You can trust for it.
So let me try to get back to all my undos and get this back to where it was.
You can trust for excess.
So the reason why you see all these little slivers in the vocals is because I lined up the vocals perfectly, and like I said, no singer is perfect, but I wanted this to be perfect because this is a robotic track. What's up, monkey? You want to come up here, baby? Come on up. My puppy. He's made appearances. I love you. All right. So let's listen to that.
You can trust for excess.
Okay, I'm going to turn that clicking so if it's hurting your ears, it's done. I put something called that vocal synth, which I showed you a second. It's going to change his voice.
You can trust.
Pretty drastic, right? But we want this robotic sound. There's another vocal underneath him. I got a lot of echo on that. Let's get that off. Let me remove that robot voice. All right, why is it doing two? I have some reverb on that. Taking that and mixing it with the other robot vocal, we have now a vocal robot composite sound. You can dress for excess. You can dress for excess. You can dress. You can dress for excess, is what he's saying. You can dress for excess. Nothing less, just more. You can for excess. You can dress. Okay, and the last bit of vocal that I have in here. So Mario or Max, there's a this is a great company. It's called Teenage Engineering. And I know this looks like a pocket calculator, and that was the whole idea. You can go in here and record a little vocal phrase, and I think this vocal phrase that's used in here is, let me listen to it. Don't you. You can go in here and work your voice sound like robots and like stutter edits. I think this is about $80 or $100. It has an input on one side and an output on the other, and you could sit here and, you know, record. I think you could record directly. If not, you could plug a microphone into it. Once you get it, you plug it into your computer and you record it onto a track. Let me find that and we'll. And I have you hear that moving back and forth? This is a thing that's panning the sound back and forth. If you look at the red, it's sounding stuff to your ears. I might be in reverse. I can't do it in reverse. You get the idea. I'll take this off. There's the thing out of the little out of this. Don't you? And there it is moving. And this is with it some reverb. And that works in conjunction with.
Shake your ass, do your best, make your best. What they say, don't stop, don't stop. Don't make it fall, make the fun.
Dumb, that's...
Don't make it fall, make the fun. Make the fun. Don't make it fall, make the fun.
Basically, that's the song. There are some vocals further on. You'll see them come back in. But I mean, there you go. I'll run the song down from the top. You have all the parts. Bass is in green. Percussion is in purple. Up at the top are vocals in red. The yellow is the keyboard parts. I just realized my mic is off. This is the demo of the song that you're hearing. This is what they sent me, which I think sounds great, right? But I took this and I made 5 different mixes out of them, so we have a product. play you other versions. Here's the main mix. This is the same song, different mix. I'm using different sounds and different arrangements.
Don't make it fun with the fun. Don't make it fun with the fun. You can dance for excess, nothing less, just more.
Same song, different kind of mix, right? Oh! Is that the toms from Hip Hop Bebop? Wow! That's why I call it the Rebop mix. Now, if it sounds like there's a lot of people singing as opposed to one, I took the original vocal, I doubled it, slightly offset it so it sounds like more people, but it's still one. This is the mix that we just heard. All right, this is the one we're just working on. Then I did a dance version. Same song, different mix. I hope you have your headphones on for the bass. I switched up the bass line to be more club. That's more vocal processing with the panning going back and forth. Vocals are coming off of this little crazy thing. Say access. Here's another one. Let's serve some house. I hope you can hear that bass line. Bum, 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 bum.
Shake your ass, shake your ass on the floor. Nothing less, just more. Now I'm dressed to impress. It's so has hardcore. Now confess, you like this. Shake your ass on the floor.
If my friend Frankie Knuckles wasn't passed on to the other life, you know, he was a house DJ. I did a Chicago house mix. So you may ask a question. If I'm looking over the other screen, I've got a 2-screen monitor and I'm trying to get everything lined up for you guys. Why did I do multiple mixes? Well, not every club is an electro club, not every place is a house club or something. So with this type of song, I'm trying to hit as many markets as I can that you're hearing. Each one of those will have a logic thing like this, and they will have you know, little breakdowns and build-ups and all that to make it easier. We're coming to the end of this, and I hope that gives you an idea. Well, you got to hear a preview that nobody else is getting to hear of this song that's coming out, which is a little bit of a promotion, obviously. Parrish Hard Ton, Dumb, like you stupid, Dumb Funk, F-U-N-K, not F-U-C-K, Dumb Funk, but you could take it however you want it. No pun intended. So this is, you know, there you go. That's a song. We can get into stuff, and we will, as far as, you know, building up synthesizer tracks and how to do all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted you guys to have an idea of how this is done. This was supposed to be a live broadcast, but I've got to be somewhere tomorrow. So next week we'll do a live broadcast, or maybe I could fit one in during the week. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you.